Hey y'all, and welcome back to another episode of Many Thoughts with Dr. T. Hope y'all doing good. Back in the office, right? Trying to get my life back together here. So we got everything set up. We're back in the office, and today we're doing somebody's son. I don't know the exact episode number, okay? But we are going to get into it. So the first scene, Paige and Chad go out on a date to get some ice cream. So they actually go somewhere, okay? It was probably like a little ice cream parlor down the street, y'all. That's probably how they chose it. But anyway, they left the house, so that's good. It's not in the backyard, so we'll take it. Paige asks Chad what his love language is, and Chad says words of affirmation and physical touch. And Paige says quality time. That was interesting because I normally don't hear people say quality time a lot. Most everybody says, physical touch for the most part and like gifts or something. But so I thought that was interesting. And y'all know mine's acts of service. If you really love me, you got to help out. Okay. That's the only way I know you really love me. Um but yeah, people say the love languages thing. I know it's like a cool thing to do, but it really, really is important to know how people receive love and then how they show love because it can be different. I receive love through acts of service, but I show love through gifts. Okay. So that is how so I might not talk to you on the phone every day, or maybe not often at all, but you're gonna get a gift from me in the mail. Right. So that's what I do. So then Paige asked Chad if he always involves his mom in his dating life. And Chad says he has not introduced anybody to his family and keeps that part private. He also says he has not lived with his mom since the seventh grade. So she really doesn't know that part of him. Hello, we clocked that first episode. Um, we felt like something was off, right? We said that. And it feels like he's like annoyed with her sometimes. So that's what I was picking up. And it all makes sense because she really doesn't know the adult Chad, I guess, if you will. Um, which I still don't know why he would come on a show. Not unless he's just trying to get famous and get some type of clout off of this whole thing. But yeah, it's like, why would you come on a show with your mom that doesn't even know you like that? Um, but anyway, and then too, this is just a side note. It's like Chad to me seems like a really boring date. I think that's another lost art with men these days is sometimes they just don't have a personality. Like they want to take you out, on a date or whatever, and they just be like, yeah. It's like, dang, do you have a personality? Do you have any questions? Like, what do you like to do? Come on. So Chad was kind of giving that nervous energy a little bit. It seems like Paige was having to lead the date. Um, yeah, and that's just kind of how I felt. It's like if you go on a date with him, it seems like as the woman, you have to be prepared with a slate of questions because he's just gonna be there. For example, Paige said, yeah, we have a lot of similarities. And he was like, yes, yeah, I think we're very similar. Like, okay, can you go into depth? Like, he could be like, yeah, I think we're very similar. Like, you love sports. I actually, had played and stuff, or something. So, yeah, Chad, don't get me wrong. He seems like a really good guy, good head on his shoulders. He's probably doing well with his career, but I gotta be at home with you for the rest of my life. That's my whole thing. So we got to be best friends and we gotta be able to talk. But anyway, in the next scene, Chad talks to his mom. Okay, and they recap the date that he just had with Paige. And she asked if he now has interest in Paige. And he says that he will have to have one-on-one dates with all the ladies first before he can really say. And that doesn't bode well for Paige, unfortunately. If he was into her, he would have been like, oh yeah, it was cool. Like I definitely so the fact that he was like, I gotta go out with all of them first. I was like, that's not good, Paige. So I don't think he's feeling Paige. Um, I think he looks at Paige as like a really cool homegirl. You know what I'm saying? I think and she probably gets that a lot. I think she said that She reminds me so much of myself, like super dope, can talk about all the things. But I wasn't feeling a flirtatious vibe there. It was feeling like this is my homegirl. She's so cool. I admire her. I look up to her. But I wasn't seeing romantic in my opinion. Um, so that was that. And so then at breakfast the next morning, Chad and Jasmine are trying to figure out how to use that coffee machine or whatever. And this is what I'm saying. You can see the chemistry there. Chemistry is the word I was looking for, not flirtation. Yeah, you can see the chemistry they had. And I think the mama, she was kind of in the background peeping it too. She's seen it. So then the rest of the ladies come down for breakfast and it's just real quiet and nobody's saying anything. And Chad isn't really talking to anybody either, saying, "Hey, good morning, how you doing?" Paige, whoever, Jasmine, Loren, he wasn't really saying that. He was just kind of into whatever it was he was doing at the moment. That's what I'm saying. Like his personality sometimes is like real quiet. Um so then Lauren asked Chad's mom. So they finally, eat breakfast, sit down, they start asking questions. And Lauren wanted to ask a question. So then Chad's mom was like, well, um, I'm sorry, y'all, my eyelashes like sticking. I told you I be doing them myself, so it is what it is. Don't be looking at my eyelashes all hard, y'all. I be doing the best I can. Okay. Um, so where was I at? Yeah, so Lauren wanted to ask a question. And it was kind of funny because Jazz mom was like, okay, well, you answer first. She was like, no, you answer. It's like, okay. So what did she ask? She asked what type of qualities does she look for in a daughter-in-law? So she's asking Chad's mom this. And Chad's mom says she looks for spirituality, not twerking and going to the clubs. Um, Y'all don't get me wrong. I know I keep saying this, and I'm for real. Like I have a relationship with God, I really do, and I be at church every Sunday for real, for real. But I just think we gotta move past this when we talk about dating. We always stop with that. If anybody asks you, "What are you looking for?" It's like they go to church. They a man of God. They a woman of God. Like okay, and we get that, and that's the foundation. And that's so important. But you gotta go deeper. Do y'all know that there's people that go to church that are still bad people? That are people that go to church that will cheat on you. There are people that go to church that still just because you go to church don't mean like, okay, cool, they good. People have gotten into bad marriages thinking that way. So yes, that should be your number one foundation. But you gotta go past that. So I was disappointed that she didn't have any other quality. So to her, long as you believe in God and you don't go to the club, then you good, you know? So we gotta have a little bit more depth. For example, I have 3 sons and, my biggest wish for all of my sons is that, they have wives that complement their personalities best, you know what I'm saying? And I pray for that even now, they're 7, 2, and 9 months, and, I pray for their wives. Their wives are out there somewhere, a little 6-year-old somewhere, you know what I mean, a little 1-year-old, might be a baby that ain't even born yet out there that, are gonna be my future daughter-in-laws, so I pray for them even now because trauma is real, so I pray that they're protected, and I pray for their parents, that their parents are giving them the right things that they need. So when they meet my sons, they don't have a lot of, past trauma and drama going on, you know what I'm saying? So that's important as well. But like for my first son, for example, he's 7 and he will talk your head off. I don't care who you are, I don't care where we're at. Somebody will always come up to me and be like, "Your son." Every time. I told y'all we went to my niece's graduation 2 weeks ago. And so it was over, and once it's over, it's like hundreds of people all walking to get out. Um and same thing, like I don't even know what he be saying. I don't even know when he was doing all this talking. But this white lady was like, "Oh my god, he is just amazing." I was like, "What was y'all talking about?" He was like, "I don't know." But anyway, I say that because he talks so much. So he's really I think he's gonna need one of the qualities. I think he's gonna need a wife that's more of a listener. You know what I'm saying? I still want her to have a voice. But yeah, they're gonna be competing if they both trying to talk. So he's gonna need somebody that's a little more laid back. Um He's also very smart, very inquisitive, very intelligent. So he'll need a wife that's very intellectual as well. So, that's something I'll be looking for. Um, and then, above all, I really like this about him is he's so compassionate. He has a very gentle heart. Um, and he feels deeply. And so I also want him to be with a wife that doesn't take advantage of that and guards his heart. So stuff like that. Like those are the type of qualities, not just, oh yeah, as long as she go to church, it's deeper than that. Definitely that, but it's deeper than that. Um, that was a tangent. So back to the show. Chad answers and says he wants a woman that stays home and takes care of stuff. And this set Lauren off. She got offended and said in her confessional that she is not the type to be at home taking care of kids and folding clothes, and that's it. And it's like, why didn't y'all give a follow-up question to so he could go into more detail and really talk about talk about that in more in depth? Like, is that what he meant, or did he mean something else by that? But they're just gonna leave it and let it be what it be. So I'm like, okay. Um, and I always say you can have what you want in this life. So if that is what Chad wants, like he can have a housewife and that's okay. Um, but I don't know if that's exactly what he meant. I don't know. But he definitely needs to make that clear because that's a big deal. Because I also don't get me wrong, I love my kids, but I can't be at home with them and I can't be a housewife. I enjoy having a career and I enjoy doing all the things. So if a guy wanted me to just quit my job and jobs and stay home, that would be a problem for me. So that's definitely something that they have to get straight. Because let me tell y'all something. I have 3 kids, and each time I was on maternity leave, I was counting down the weeks like, "When can I go back to work?" Because I love my kids, I really do, but that's just not my grace is not to, like, stay home with them, like, it's just not. And so I knew from then, from maternity leave, I was like, "Yeah, I couldn't just be here." Now, I don't necessarily have to have a 9 to 5 either, but I do have to have some type of mission or purpose or thing that I am trying to complete. So I'm not saying I want to be, in the office for the rest of my life either. But I just, as long as I have some type of mission, whether that's, doing this full time or, writing books or e-courses, like I have a lot of stuff I want to do. Um, but yeah, my time is tied up a lot at the corporate. So yeah, it's you can have whatever you want. I just think he needs to be very specific about that. So then Chad wants his mom to answer the question as well, to see what she wants in a man, a mate, what she's looking for. She says she's looking for someone who is transparent, a leader, and they can take some of the load off of her. And then she gets very emotional and starts crying. I don't know if it's just me. It probably is just me, but it's so cringe when people start crying, especially on shows. I'd be like fast forwarding. This scene went on forever. And I was like, oh, this is so cringe. But it was nice. She broke down and Chad says he learned something because he never heard her say that before. I'm like, yeah, Chad, because you probably never asked her that. What are you talking about? Um, and two, as children, especially adult children, we forget that our parents had lives before us. Because they just always been our mom and dad, but we forget that they were people before us. They were doing stuff. They had dreams and things they wanted to do and accomplish. So it's always good to sit with your parents and ask them those things, especially if you have like an old photo book or album, just to see how they were dressing and how they were looking and stuff. That's always cool. But since Chad and his mom don't seem to have a relationship like that, I'm sure he's probably never asked her any question like that. Um, yeah. Yeah, so yeah, like I was saying, they have careers. Um, and two, another thing I'm realizing too is that you d you have to have a life outside of your children, and it's so hard now because we have small kids, but, what can happen is once your kids go off to they graduate out of your house and you looking crazy, because you don't have any interest, your whole life was taking them here and there, and you didn't cut off all your friends, and so as hard as it is, my husband and I try to do as good as we can. It's still like, hanging out with our friends. And if he needs to do something on a Saturday, I'm like, go ahead, it's cool. Like I got the kids and he'll do the same for me. And still have hobbies, still have dreams. It may be slowed down a little bit this season in our life, but it's good to still have those things and not just let everything go. And your total focus be, on your kids and you lose yourself in the process. Um so then one of the ladies asked how Chad is when it comes to forgiveness, and this was scary. He quickly says, like, 'cause he don't talk about nothing else, right? But on this one, I was concerned. He was like, "Oh, yes, 50-50, 'cause I gotta get my lick back at all costs." And everybody was like, "Wait, what?" Y'all, he said it so matter of fact. That was scary to me. And I think all the ladies agreed that that was kind of a red flag. Um, y'all know I be reading people, right? And Chad gives me crazy behind the eyes. I'm sorry. Just the way he always be like, yeah. I don't know. I just feel like he the type of guy that can switch it up on you. Like he got like a bad side. And but I was keeping it to myself. I didn't share that with y'all. But when he said this, I was like, see, I knew it, man. I knew it. It's all good when it's all good. But I feel like if you do something to him, like he said, he got to get his lit back at all costs. So that was kind of scary. Um, so then next, he meets with Jasmine by the pool to spend more time with her and to get to know her a little bit better. The first thing she asked him was about the whole get back thing because I know that would have been on the top of my mind as well. Y'all, he backpedaled so far out of this. So he explains what he meant was, because when people doubt me, you know what I mean? You got to prove them wrong, and that's how you get back at them. It had nothing to do with, relationships and stuff like that. That's a lie, y'all. That is a lie. It didn't even make sense. I was like, no, I'm not buying it. I think he said it just to get out of it, but I don't correlate forgiveness, okay, because that was the question, with, oh yeah, when I have doubters, I gotta do a really good job and that's how I prove them wrong. Like that don't go. And I wasn't buying it. I think he meant what he said. So then Jasmine says that she has been working on herself, and Chad asks what are the biggest things that she's learned. She says that she's a overthinker, a oversharer, very sensitive, and needs reassurance like crazy. This was all very scary to me, guys. Chad just glossed over this because that's who he is. But these are a lot of glaring red flags that I would be very concerned about if I was Chad. She says she's an overthinker, okay? Which we probably all are to a degree, but that means she's probably always making up narratives in her head that aren't true, right? Maybe, I don't know, he goes out to take the trash and she like, "Oh yeah, it took you 20 minutes. You was out there talking to somebody," overthinker, right? She could be making up stuff in her head a lot. She says she's an oversharer. So that means, can I trust that everything I tell you will stay in confidence between us? Or you gonna pick the wrong time to share something with people? Right. So I don't like that either. She's very sensitive. So that means you probably gotta walk on eggshells. And every word you say has to be perfectly placed, or she's gonna get offended and start crying and why'd you say that? And then she needs reassurance like crazy. Again, That sounds very draining for the person she's gonna be with. You constantly have to be lifting her up and giving her words of affirmation all the time. I'm hoping Jasmine goes to therapy because that's a lot. And it sounds like she is. I think that was the point of what she was saying. She's discovering more about herself, but that's a lot. I thought she was gonna say like some positive things she was discovering about herself, but that was all kind of negative to me. And again, like I always say, none of us are perfect. Don't get me wrong, but that's a lot. Like I said, when you're dating, everybody crazy out here. Everybody's weird in their own way. You just gotta figure out, can you deal with their level of crazy and weird? That's really what it's about. You're not gonna find anybody that's just perfect. You know what I'm saying? With my husband, he was dating me. I be on it. I got a schedule at all times. You know what I'm saying? So he had to figure out, is that something he could deal with? Okay. Because my whole life is planned pretty much. I'm just joking, but I'm not. So that was, and he's very, he doesn't even know what time means or is. He's spontaneous. He kind of just lives life in the flow. But opposites attract, so we both had to come to the middle a little bit. I did have to ease up off of the, my rigid timelines a little bit. And, he tries to be on somewhat of the schedule that I'm proposing for the day. So Chad says in his confessional that Jasmine makes him feel balanced and it's super easy to talk to her. And I do agree that he did seem a little bit more engaged with Jasmine than he did with Paige. He was asking a little more questions and taking more of the lead. And I think that's because he likes her more than, I think, again, Paige was more of a homegirl type of vibe. All right, so then we go over to Joshua. So him and, was it Chambriel? That's how you say it? I got all the names written down this time, y'all. Chambriel sits down with Joshua to have a one-on-one time. So remember they kissed during that photo shoot activity, but I guess they never got to discuss it. She was making a big deal about that, but I'm like, y'all were doing that like through the activity. It's not like y'all kiss just randomly, right? But so she tells him that he feels like a mystery man and she wants to go deeper and learn more. And he admits that he's had trust issues by doing too much too soon in the past with women he's dated. And I think the root of this is that he's still hiding from them that he plays in the NFL. And so because of that, I think he's having to be very vague about what he does. All right, because that is what he does, but he doesn't want to tell them. So he's having to like, I don't know what he's telling them. I guess he's telling them he's an entrepreneur, but he really doesn't have any details. I'm not sure why he's still hiding this information from them. And I don't know when or if he's planning on telling them. Um, and I'm not trying to be funny. I'm really not trying to be funny because he has way more money than me, okay? But it's like I watch football, y'all, like for real, for real. Like football is my life. Like I know everybody. And I don't know him. Um, so since I don't know him, I don't think that he's a millionaire all like that. And again, a millionaire is a millionaire. He got more money than me. I'm just saying, I don't know why he's acting like, oh my God, I have all this money and, I can't have anybody taking advantage of me. It's like, I don't know. I should have looked it up. He might be getting a couple mil a year, maybe, which is excellent. But I'm just saying the way he's acting is like, he's making 100 million a year and he got to guard his money. And it's like, okay, you're doing real well at the taxes and you get your agent and all of this. Again, I'm sure he's doing very well, but I just don't know why he's going through to such lengths to hide this. And then let me talk about the total opposite side of my mouth. Okay. Now I always say this: if I was a guy and I had a lot of money, right? I'm talking like millionaire, what I would do, because you can't really know, right, who wants you for you. And I think that's his rationale. And we're all human. If you're dating somebody and this person's like, oh yeah, I got $500,000 even, or I'm a millionaire, I don't care what nobody's saying, you're gonna put on and you're like, oh shoot, let me make sure I'm doing right so I can get with this person. Like, I don't care what nobody's saying, you would do that. right? Because we get on gold diggers and this whole thing. But I'm like, anybody would do that. If you're dating somebody and you find out that they have a lot of money, you're like, okay, you're gonna do extra in some way. If you don't cook, you're gonna start cooking, whatever, right? Because you just see like, okay, you see where your life could potentially be. So this is what I would do, right? I would have, if I was a guy and I had millions and I was dating, trying to find a wife, I would have like a regular apartment, right? Like just a regular apartment somewhere. I have my for real joint, but I wouldn't tell women about that. I would have like a regular apartment, like a modest car, and while I was dating, I would take them to that regular apartment. I'd be driving my regular car, you know what I'm saying? And that's how I would do it to see if they really like me for me. Then if we got to the point of, we're dating for 2 or 3 years and we're engaged, that's when I would be like, "Surprise, I'm rich." And then take them to the real house and everything. You see what I'm saying? Um, I don't know if you could keep that up for a year or 2, but I feel like that's the only way you could really know. Like, do they like me, in this regular basic setup I got, because everybody's gonna like you. Like I said, if you got all this money, I mean, I don't know. But anyway, I do kind of feel sorry for men and women that are in that position because you can't really know if they're loving you for you or what you have. And then what happens if you lose that? Because he can't play in the NFL forever, y'all. Okay, the average career is 3 years, and I think he's lasted 6, so that's really good. But like I said, I don't think he's like a elite player in that way. I've just never heard of him. But Tennessee Titans, I can't say that I know their roster like that anyway. They're not all that. So maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he does start or whatever. But yeah. Um so then Chambriel opens up about her family life growing up. Her mom had her at 18 and her father was incarcerated since she was 18 months. The only special moment he was able to go to was her college graduation, and then she starts to cry. Um, I don't think she did it on purpose, but I think she thought her opening up would help him to open up, and I thought this would have been a good time for him to be like, "You know what? I've been keeping a secret from y'all. Like, I play in the NFL." I thought that was the moment to do it. He said the same reason people love him is the same reason people hate him. So I didn't know what that meant. Um, but anyway, so after that, so they had a okay date. I don't again, it's the same thing with Chad and Paige. I think he thinks she's a great, great girl, pretty, all the stuff. Don't see the chemistry, don't see the romance, don't see the flirtation there. So Joshua sits down with his Auntie Oma, to recap the date. Um, Oh yeah, that he had with Lexi, that's right. And then discuss the ladies over in general. So he says the date with Lexi went well, and he's more attracted to Lexi and Tamaris than Chambriel. Told you. That's exactly how I felt. However, he says that although he is attracted to the other two ladies more, he was able to get deeper with Chambriel, and he's falling in love with her mind. That's all well and good, y'all, but men are visual, and Imma need you to fall in love with how I look as well. Um, so yeah, I wasn't feeling that falling in love with the mind thing. Um, I need you to be in love with my mind and my appearance or not, he's gonna cheat on her. Like, you need to like how your significant other looks. That's kind of a big deal. So Joshua decides to take Chambriel on a date and have a one-on-one time to get to know her a little bit better. Why are they in the backyard again, y'all? I don't understand. Anyway, Joshua asked Chambriel about her past relationships. She says she has been in 3 serious relationships, and her last one was for 5 years. Y'all been in relationships for 5 years? That's a long time. 'Cause how old is she? I don't know. You can't waste 5 years of my life. Like, I'm saying y'all about 2.5, maybe 3. You need to be making and that's if you're dating with the intention of getting married, which it sounds like Chambriel wants to be married. 2.5, you kind of need to be knowing like, okay, which way is this going? And it needs to happen swiftly. Okay. That's about what it was for me. About 2.5. I was like, all right. um, yeah, so that 5, that's crazy. Okay. So Chambriel also says she dated a guy where she did not get along with his mother, and she felt the mom was a big part of their relationship, and she didn't like that, and he did not establish boundaries. Y'all, this can be, if you are a woman, this is a telltale sign because this can be a very big issue when it comes to sons and their moms. And the problem is, as a son, they don't want to be disrespectful to their mom. So they struggle with how to honor their mom, but still honor their wife and family, right? And how to set that boundary. Um, and I think it's all really contingent on the mother-in-law, like his mom. I think a mom has to do a good job of releasing him, right? And letting him know, like, no, you good. Like my mother-in-law is amazing at that. Like she's always like, nope, take care of your wife, like that. So he never has to make these hard decisions on, well, my mama said I gotta come Saturday because she need me to, I don't know, put the doorknob on or something. And your wife like, yeah, but I thought we was going. He like, yeah, but mama, you don't want to put your sons in positions and predicaments like that. So thank God, um, my mother-in-law is not that way. And it's so funny because my husband, he is the youngest of 3 girls, right? And his 2 older sisters, they're like 9 and 10 years older than him. And then his other sister, they're like 9 months apart. So, and he has a mom. So he was in the house with 4 women. So I always joke that he had to fight all his life to be heard. And so he does not have a problem setting a boundary. I've never had to worry about that. Like he'll set a boundary so quick. I'll be like, babe, it's cool. Like it's cool. We can do that. You can do that for your mom. It's cool. So we gotta have the reverse. But yeah, that could be such a big issue if you have one of those moms that's trying to compete, and that feels like, well, I'm your mama, so like watch out if you're dating somebody that has a mama that pulls the I'm your mama card. You know what I'm saying? Because that puts him in a weird position because he wants to honor her. But then, he doesn't want to disappoint you, and it's always gonna be something going. So red flag if you see that. Um, and I wrote this down too. This can present in a couple of different ways. You might have a mother-in-law that's always asking for money, and don't get me wrong. I mean, it's okay, to help, but I'm talking about it's every week, it's every other week. Can you pay this bill? I need this, I need that type of thing. And you can see all this while you're dating, right? Um, she's always asking him to come take care of things. Again, in moderation, that's okay. But if it's all the time, she can't function without him. He's like her handyman or something. And the biggest one is if she relies on him emotionally, almost like her man. Red flag. Okay. So, like I said, everybody got something. You just got to figure out if you can deal with that, and you'll be able to see it when you're dating for sure. So then they talk about timelines and where they see themselves in the next couple of years. Joshua says he is trying to build his career, so he wants to take it to the highest limit, and he could see himself going for about 4 years, without proposing. And then Chambriel says she might be gone. So Joshua was like, "Well, then you do have a timeline," because she said she didn't. Um, so then she tries to clean it up and says no, she doesn't have a timeline. She just wants to make sure that they're growing. Um, and I'm like, y'all, women, it's okay to have a timeline. Like, it's cool. You know what I'm saying? Because we all do have a timeline. You say you don't have a timeline, but just like he was saying, if year 4 come around and you don't have a ring, you're gonna be mad. So you need to go ahead and it's okay to lay that out, in the beginning. But they do have a good discussion about how they can grow together and push each other forward in their careers. And like I said, I definitely think Joshua respects Chambriel and thinks she's smart and on top of her stuff. But again, I don't see the chemistry in that type of way. So then we go back over to Chad. Chad takes Lauren out on a spa date. He asked her how she feels being older than him and how her timeline looks, which is a very good question because I figured she would want kids pretty quickly because I think she's 35 or something. And I totally forgot she was older than him. Like I totally forgot that whole thing. Um, so Lauren says she doesn't have a timeline. Again, why are we lying about timelines right now? And she's just going with the flow. Telling y'all, don't start that. And then when it's year 5 and you going with the flow and you mad, they're gonna be like, "What? I thought you had no timeline." It's okay to let men know your expectations. Like it's cool, and that way you can save yourself a lot of time and trouble. Because if he knows that he's not on that timeline, he's gonna move around, and then you can open up yourself for somebody who's okay with that timeline. It doesn't have to be exact. It's not like, well, on May 5th, that's gonna be 2.5 years. So it's not like that, but you can, be like around 2.5, 3 years, I wanna be in a position where we're potentially ready to get engaged if that's what we're looking for. Um So then Lauren asked Chad about the whole get back comment because I told you all the women thought that was a red flag. And again, he tries to backpedal his way out. And he says, you can only feel sorry for yourself for so long. And you got to get back up. So that's what I had meant. Again, that has nothing to do with forgiveness. Don't know what he's talking about. He's lying. Lauren also realized that he was probably lying on that. Another thing Lauren picked up on was when he said it's hard for him to have empathy. I said, "Come on, Lauren, come on." So I agree with Lauren. That is very scary as well. So that's 2 red flags for Chad in my book. To be in a healthy relationship, you need to be able to feel. Especially you need to be able to feel if you've offended your partner or hurt your partner. So the fact that he struggles with empathy is very scary. I do admit. Like I said, y'all, it's giving crazy behind the eyes. I'm sorry. He can't feel, he doesn't have empathy. He's gonna get you back and all this. I don't know. So then Lauren asked Chad when was his last serious relationship and what was the duration. Chad says 3.5 years ago was his last serious relationship. Um, I thought that was odd. 3.5 years is a long time, y'all. And he's a very attractive guy. So that didn't compute for me. But he's 30. So yeah, and guys, before their 30s, they are playing games a lot. So maybe he was just like playing the field. But I just thought that was a really long time not to be in a relationship. Um, So I thought it was a good date overall, but again, it's feeling like he looks up to her in a mentor type way. Because she was dropping some gems on his date and he was receiving it. Um, and then she says he's still growing into his own. So again, I don't know if she would be able to look at up to him as a leader. Maybe she would. But that could get old, right? Like right now it's cool because you're dropping all these gems and he's growing into his own, but eventually you're gonna want somebody to lead you. And being that you're older, more mature, more wise, are you going to be able to submit to his leadership? I don't know. Um, so I don't know about them. I was on the fence with them. So then in the next scene, they take it outside. They continue to talk, and he lets Lauren know that he thinks she is beautiful and very smart and intelligent. And he seemed very intentional about that. And so now I'm starting to flip. I'm like, well, maybe he does really like her. Like he was like, no, like you're beautiful. Like he said that a couple of times, and how smart she was, and he was really leaning in. So I'm like, okay, maybe I'm wrong on that. He says he's definitely interested in her. Like he makes that known. He says her being older and more mature would make him have to step up his game, and he likes those type of challenges. So that could be dicey, but I see how maybe um that part of it can get him excited. Like, okay, she gonna teach me like all this stuff, and I gotta make sure I'm on my game, and I gotta, because he did say that in the first episode. He likes a woman that's gonna challenge him and help him level up. So maybe that's what he's getting out of this. Um, I don't know. I just still think that age dynamic could be tricky, especially when the guy is the younger one. So we'll have to see on that. So then Lauren and Chad go back in the house because it's getting a little late, and they continue talking. And Jasmine is downstairs in the kitchen where they're at, and she's washing dishes and drying them mad loud, like real loud. And on the confessional, she says that she's having a tough time dealing with all of this. And y'all remember earlier she was like crying. Like I said, y'all, this is a show, so I do not know why they are invested in this way. This is not real life. It's not like somebody's really out here cheating on you. Like, it's a show and it's three of y'all. And anyway, yeah, she was washing dishes mad loud, and she was wanting them to, I guess she was wanting them to stop so she could start talking to Chad. And this is where, so y'all are seeing it, right? What was she, an oversharer, overthinker, insecurity, all this stuff. You seeing it play out. And that's what I'm saying. That's why I think she needs to probably get therapy before she can get in a relationship, because that was real crazy. All she had to do is say, hey Chad, when y'all get done talking, can you come get me real quick? I just wanted to, that's all you had to do. And I promise you, y'all, when she talks to him in this next episode, probably she gonna be crying and saying, this is so hard for me because just seeing you with these other two, it's gonna be a lot. So I was with Jasmine, but like she said, she has a lot that she is working through. So that it was funny though. She was washing those dishes so loud and they were ignoring her so hard. Um, that was pretty funny. So I don't know. So with Chad, I'm thinking that I don't know. I'm getting these girls confused again. Because he was with, yeah, I don't think he wants Paige. I think it is between Loren and Jasmine for him, for sure. Um, so yeah, that is all I have, y'all. And I don't know how many more episodes there are, probably one or two. So I will come back this week and do the most current episode. So I'll talk to y'all soon. See ya.